Hey everyone, welcome and good morning. This is our second session, and what's great about it is we still are on chapter 1. So the interesting thing about inductive Bible study is that it's slow, and typically slower than even we're moving, because we're covering all of James chapter 1 in just 2 sessions. And again, I encourage you guys to come to our live session if you are in Orange County, or come to our online session on Saturdays. All right, so question. Did you practice listening to understand rather than listening to respond? This is from last week. Also, did you pray this week? I'm not sure if you were able to do that, but praying this week every day that God would give you wisdom. I'm not sure how you were reading and getting into the word of James, but wanting to know kind of where you are with that. All right, how was the homework? So for me, I wrote this study, and what's interesting to me is I had a hard time, honestly, like this chapter, meaning this session. So session 2 of chapter 1, I was convicted pretty hardcore. There was a lot of conviction in there and some things where I thought, I need to change that about how I live, what I'm doing. So I hope it was a good week for you. Rest assured, the next few weeks moving forward don't have as many pages of homework. So that's nice. Only about 2 pages, rather than 18 or so questions, it has about 10 moving forward. So the first 2 weeks is the bulk, because that's really where James has so much meat. And most times when you get into an inductive study, it's one verse at a time. Okay, so let me share with you a little bit about who I am. And part of it is why should you listen to me? What do I have to say? Whenever you're hearing us from a speaker, it's sort of what verifies them, what makes them, I don't know, qualified to speak into my life. So I run online ministry. There's over 3,000 women, and it has been an honor and a blessing to be able to work alongside of 3 other women in ministry here to, really bring the word of God and the word of truth to people all over the world. We have people from all over the world in the group. So it's a blessing to me for that, in Roots and Fruits on Facebook. And then also, I have become, oddly, a trusted resource for over 250,000 online members in my health and wellness group. I also own and operate a health and wellness training school. There's over 25,000 people in that school. And I've published 58 books since 2015. We own a thriving publishing company. I was not in publishing before then, and it's just weird to me that I'm able to do that, be able to write and publish and speak into people's lives. I was radically saved in 2013, and I can say that with extreme boldness that my life is now very different than before. So I want to kind of take you down a path of my own foolishness, and before I was saved. And one thing that I am still good at today, but kind of prided myself in, I was very proud of the fact that I could speak with authority. And those of you who have listened to me for any length of time know that on most topics, I pretty much will speak with authority. And even if I'm wrong, meaning I didn't know I was wrong, I'm like, oh no, okay, let's go back. And I go back and we'll cover something that maybe I misrepresented because I didn't know the whole of it. But man, you can go back and listen to that and you're like, she was speaking with authority. Because I sort of grew up knowing that I just have to own what I'm speaking it, just own it, go for it. But one thing that I did, because I was often praised for this, was that I tried to manipulate, and I tried to speak with authority even on things I didn't know about because of my own pride, right? The selfishness, pride. And it was interesting because I developed this knack for tricking people. And it was sort of funny to me, I would get people to do things and believe things that were ludicrous. So an example of that would be we'd be going out to a Chinese restaurant and everybody would get fortune cookies at the end, and people would read them and laugh, and we'd all, have fun with it. But I would always, if the group was new to me on this one, I would always try to, with authority, tell them, if you actually want that fortune to come true, there's actual proof that doing this one thing that I'll tell you what to do, it will come true. So how many of you really like your fortune and want it to come true? And a few of them would raise their hand. Okay, what you have to do is you have to internalize it. And what I mean by that is physically internalize it. So you have to eat it and just crumple it up. And I would show them, I would crumple it up and I'd put it in my mouth. I wouldn't swallow it, but I would say, and you have to kind of get it down and swallow it like you would a pill. And that will get into your system, and that will manifest that fortune. And I said it with such conviction and such authority that I, more often than not, got people to swallow their fortune. All the while I'm like laughing in my head, right? Because this is so stupid. Why would anyone believe me? But what then do you think could have happened moving forward from that? And when I think about that trickery that I kind of got wrapped into, my own pride, was that I never really considered the ramifications. After a while, people just stopped trusting me because I would try to trick them. And it was, stems from my upbringing. I was tricked as a kid. And so it was like, well, I'm older now, so now it's my turn to trick people. And, I had no friends. I was super arrogant. I did things my way. It was my way or no way. But what was interesting is finally, God slammed me. He got a hold of me, and I was sick all the time. I was sick. Finally, that forced us to move. We, moved from Los Angeles down to Orange County. What that did was that move caused my entire company to tank. So I went from being voted the best wedding photographer in Los Angeles. I had 3 working studios, one in Beverly Hills, one in Pasadena, and one in Irvine. I owned the most exclusive event planning master group anywhere. We serviced all the 5-star hotels. I was the leader of that group, the owner of that group. And I went from that to flat broke in 1 year. To say that God was trying to get my attention is an understatement. He basically turned off the faucet. Everything I thought I was like so good at and so accomplished at, he was like, nope, we're going to wipe that clean. So I think of it like that. He was literally dragging me to him. I remember feeling really confused, but at the same time at peace. There was this weird peace. Somehow I knew that everything was going to be okay. And what was interesting is at that time, I started digging into his word more. And I did my very first personal inductive study on my own, verse by verse, and like basically 1 verse per day. And can you guess what book it was? This is back in February of 2013. This is exactly 6 weeks before I got saved, technically 7. I got saved on May 20th. It was February 1st or just before February that I started James. And on February 1st, 2013 was when I covered James 1:5. And that is the verse on wisdom, that ask God for wisdom. You guys, God is so faithful. And what I learned is what wisdom is for real. So what I'd like to share with you is my journal entry from that day. And this, again, is before I was saved. So, I thought I was saved, which is a wild thing. I went through a whole journey of thinking I was saved, realizing that I absolutely wasn't. So I was a student of the Bible before I was even saved. But here's what I wrote on that day 8 years ago. Okay, so what I did was follow this method of picking out the context of the verse, the universal application, and then the personal application. So I call it the cup method. All right, so the context, I said, James loves wordplay and linking verses and phrases together poetically and based on the audience's understanding of certain word contexts. The word wisdom, or Sophia, is a word that describes direction. Jews of that time understood it fully because before Christ, they had to ask God for wisdom on a daily basis. Wisdom is the practical application of God's will. Did you catch that? Wisdom is the practical application of God's will. It is not a deeper understanding of a deeper meaning as we think of the word to mean today. He also plays on the reader's understanding of wisdom, which also means to make one perfect. So that their understanding of the word wisdom meant to make one perfect and complete, which was a phrase he used in the previous verse, as well as its ability to enable us to endure testing. Okay, and I listed James 1:4. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. This is all most likely just his train of thought as he links together things together and is a writer's artistry at work. So the universal truth I put down, again, universal truth would be something where you would take the verse and reword it in your own words based on what it is. So ask God every day for wisdom and do his will. Ask knowing that he will give it to you without judgment. And then my personal application was, wisdom is not deeper revealed truths. It is what I need on a daily basis to become perfect and complete. Wisdom is the power to do God's will and not my own. Wisdom gives me the desire to do what's right, not for my own victory, but to be obedient to God, to please him. I ask for wisdom today to show humility. I learn humility. Humility with everyone I encounter. I ask for wisdom and grace and mercy to those I judge so quickly and so harshly. Teach me how to slide judging others off my back quickly and effortlessly until it sweeps past me without even a thought. I ask for wisdom to have a deeper patience for Tim and Jacob. Give me wisdom to sow seeds of hope that I might know and fully enjoy optimism. I want to sow seeds of goodness. And then I quoted Galatians 6:7-10. Okay, so what did this look like? I mean, this is so crazy to me that I wrote this. And then that day, February 1st, was the first day I started praying for wisdom every single day, multiple times a day, like clockwork. So I want to encourage you, my friends, on two things. Pray for God's wisdom every single day. Make it a habit, make it a priority. Okay, I'm going to quote 2 Peter 1:3 to you all. His divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him who called us to his own glory and excellence. That's a powerful verse. His divine power, God's power, has granted to you and me all the things that pertain to life here and godliness. Are you catching that? It's huge. Through the knowledge of him who called us, through the knowledge of God, right? He called us to his glory and excellence. So it's for his will, for his glory, for his excellence. It's an interesting thing to me that as I prayed for wisdom every single day, I'm talking every single day like clockwork, and this is 2013. 2 years later, in 2015, I started writing books. Okay, so I'm curious to just ask you a quick question. How do you think someone who went from getting D's and C minuses, if I was lucky, in my science classes, going to being the person that people came to ask questions about physiology and biology? I wrote over almost 60 books, almost 10 books per year in the last 6 years on basically science, also prayer and religion things. But what in the world? My most popular books are science-based books. That is only through God's wisdom. I was a terrible science student, terrible. And now that's like what God has put on my heart and on my mind, and he's made it understandable to me, not through anything that I did. Okay, so I don't question the impossible, to you. Basically what that means is that all glory could only go to God. So that's number one. Number two, I want you to study his word. I want you to get in his word. Even if you only do one verse per day, follow the cup method. It's easy to remember. I want to fill up my cup. So that means context. Look at what it meant back then first. Then I want you to cover universal application. What does it mean to everyone at all times? And then I want you to cover your personal application, which is, what does it mean to you right now? Okay, so that's it for today. And I pray that this has been a blessing to you, that you look at wisdom in a different way, that you dig into the study. There were so many questions in, I mean, I could do a 40-minute lesson today, but I'm gonna have to cut it short because this was a big lesson. There was a lot in there. So I encourage you to come on Saturdays, hang out with us, even if you just want to come and listen. That would be great. Email jen@31oils.com to get the Zoom link for this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. There is no replay. We don't record it because of just wanting to kind of keep that space protected. All right, you guys, take care.